Corina Pataki is the author of 4 books. She is an ordained Christian minister and a biblical researcher. She's been involved in anomalous events since childhood, and the Romanian security services have been monitoring her. She was taken into deep underground military bases in Romania, and in October of 2024, she was part of a team investigating what's really hidden under the Bucegi mountains.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, welcome back, Corina, to Exopolitics Today.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure and a joy to be with you once again. Good to see you.
Yes, it is great to see you again. And we traveled recently to Romania, and we did some investigations together with Elena Dinan and a few Romanian researchers. But just to kind of set the scene and to remind people about your background, the unique circumstances involving your birth and the connection with this individual called Caesar Brad, who was a key figure in the Transylvania Sunrise book. So you want to tell us about what happened to you during your birth and the similarity with the story of Caesar Brad.
Yes, thank you. It's really powerful because 2 years ago, I started getting my memories, the memories that have been locked. And I was very determined to go after my memories because I know that my birth was quite unique. My parents told me, as a matter of fact, of the hardship that my mom had, how her water broke. And for 9 days, I was in her womb, which is unheard of. And she was taken to 3 different cities where the doctors wouldn't touch her. They were waiting for specialists to come. So, I've always known there was something more that was there. And like I said, Dr. Salla, 2 years ago, the memories started coming back, and they started coming back like a flood. And in this one memory, I saw myself in the womb. And what I was told, I was an observer. I was an observer over the womb and seeing myself in the womb. And what I was being told at that point, Dr. Salla, is that the negative ones, the evil ones, wanted to alter my timeline of being birthed so that I would be born and I would die. So in other words, I was supposed to be born the 29th of January. However, they were allowed to alter my timeline in the hopes that I would die in my mom's womb. So her water broke on the 29th because that's when I was supposed to be born. But because they altered it, I was born February the 6th. But what I was told is that this was allowed because there was a strategy in it for my protection. So when I saw myself in the womb, I was in a fetal position, and I saw my so the umbilical cord went normal, how it goes to your mom. So that was normal, but it branched off, and it was a thick umbilical cord, and it went from the base all the way to the back of my head, and that's where it was connected. And what I was told is, obviously I was like, what in the world is this? And it was an organic umbilical cord. And what I was told is that, Corina, you were supposed to be born with all of your memories intact. So when I was supposed to be born with the full knowledge of why I came, what my role is, and to do my role, my blueprint. So what had happened in this 9 days, where the evil ones were hoping that I would die, I was protected. I did not die. But what happened is, because my mother's the water broke, what happened was that the umbilical cord dried up. And when it dried up, it fell. So when my mom actually gave birth to me, when the doctors looked at me, there was nothing unusual per se about my umbilical cord. So this memory came after I found out about the Transylvania book series. So, when I heard about the Transylvania book series, actually from you, Dr. Salla, when you had interviewed Peter Moon. I immediately got them and I started reading them. Well, when I got to the part where it mentioned this character of Caesar, and how unusual his birth was also. Now with him, they did the doctors did see his umbilical cord, and they called in, special military officials. I about fell off the bed because I could not believe the similarities. My jaw was on the floor. I was in shock. I was going, am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? This is incredible. Well, how can this be? So this is where everything started coming for me. Memory started unlocking from that moment in time. And more realizing as the memories were being shown and coming together, I was realizing more. I had these puzzle pieces that were given to me. And I saw how some of them fit. I didn't see how all of them fit that I was given till that moment in time, until Dr. Sala, we were in Romania in October right now, 2024. And that's when I began to see more of these certain puzzle pieces that I did not quite understand how they fit. I saw them, not only that, but they started fitting together. So that was, how my birth. And ever since then, a lot of strange, unusual things happened to me.
Okay, so we'll try and keep it in a kind of chronological order so that it's easier for people to understand. So you had this anomalous birth, and then during your childhood, strange things began to happen, and you were identified by the Romanian security services as someone special, and you were taken to the Black Sea during your youth. So you want to tell us about what happened, what you remembered now about being taken to the Black Sea and what was done there?
Absolutely. So at the age of, I'm assuming it's the age of 2, because this happened when I was in nursery. So in Romania, you are taken to nursery until maximum age of 2, because from 2, you go into kindergarten level 1, kindergarten middle level, a kindergarten higher level, and then first grade. So I was not more than 2 years old. And what happened was the principal from that nursery school came to my parents, and they said, the government has issued or has given a special program, has paid for a special program to take certain children from our school to the Black Sea. Now, my parents, just hearing about it, in a way, they were very happy, because they thought, the Black Sea is known for its the mud, the nutrients in it, the water, the fresh air. And a lot of actually doctors would prescribe to parents to take their children to the Black Sea for treatment. So my parents knew that they did not have money to take me there. So when they heard that the school, there was this program paid by the government, and the school chose me as one of the children to take to the Black Sea, they were excited. Now, Dr. Sala, I was 2 years old or under, and Timișoara, where I live, as you can, it's the Timișoara where I live was, it's on the west coast, the middle west coast of Romania. And the Black Sea is all the way down on the southeast side of Romania. So here they took me, under 2 years old, for 12 days without my parents. Now, the memories started coming back about this this journey, this phenomenon. And what I knew in the memories and what I felt confirmed it. They took me because they knew I had an ability to alter timelines. So what they wanted to do is use my ability to alter timelines so that their desired timeline can come, and therefore their reality to be established. So they could not do that. They were not able to alter the timeline. They were not able to unlock that potential in me to alter the timeline, but they did cause some damage to me. So at that moment in time, I know, because I've started getting more memories, that I was actually taken off planet. In those 12 days on Earth, I was actually taken off planet. And my dad and my mom said that when I came home, I was skinny. I was extremely dirty. My hair was clammy with like I've not been washed at all in months. But it's interesting because on Earth, I was only gone 12 days. So this is when it started. So obviously there was an ability in me to alter timelines. And again, they wanted me to alter the timeline so I can bring about their reality. And it didn't happen. So that's how things started happening. And there was more that happened when I was 4 years old, again at the Black Sea. And it just kept continuing throughout my childhood.
Yes, you were taken off planet. So it'd be good to know, what you recall about being taken off planet. And then there was an incident where you were rescued you were rescued by some extraterrestrials. So you want to tell us about those off-planet trips and being rescued?
Yeah, so the off-planet trips, I'm not really remembering the details of it, so I don't feel as comfortable talking about it until I'm sure that the memories are in order, that I get it, that I see the puzzle pieces. But I do know that since I was a little girl, I was terrified, absolutely terrified of big, like industrial, like nuclear plants. When I would pass by one of these nuclear plants or industrial buildings, I had this fear that gripped me, and it was uncanny, like it was not explainable. And I knew that I kept having reoccurring dreams where I'm on this planet that is very dark, and this planet that has a lot of what you would call these type of nuclear plants. Actually, when I was speaking with Elena while we were in Romania, she kind of confirmed some things. So I'm going to go more after those memories, those specific memories. But yes, I was definitely taken off planet. Now, when I was 4 years old, my parents and my two older brothers, I'm the youngest of three. I'm the only daughter. So we went to the Black Sea, and I was 4 years old. Now, Dr. Sala, on this trip, the first day when we got there, we were, after breakfast, we went on the beach, and all of a sudden, I was playing in the water, at the edge of the water, and all of a sudden, the water started taking me away from my parents. Now, the beach was absolutely packed. And all of a sudden, I look around and I realized that I cannot find my parents. I cannot see my brothers, and I started crying. Now, that is the only memory physically that I have. The next memory that came to me was that after 8 to 10 hours, I was missing off the beach from 8 to 10 hours, because all of a sudden it's like I woke up on the beach. I didn't wake up, but that was the sense, that was the feeling. And I saw this swing set, this playground with some fish. And I turned. So after 8 to 10 hours that I was missing on the beach, all of a sudden it's like I woke up, though I wasn't asleep. And I saw a playground, and I turned to the opposite direction. I turned like to the right, as I can see it right now. And my parents were right there in the same place. Now, as you can imagine, this was a shock. And when I went to my parents and I asked them, now my mom is a very worried mom. So if I would have been missing for 10 minutes, she would have freaked out. So I asked her, I said, Mom, how come you were not freaking out? And she said, this is what she said to me, both her and my dad. They said, something came over us, a peace that passed all sort of logical thinking. And we knew that you were safe and that you would come back. So Dr. Sala, this happened the first day when I was on the Black Sea. I was taken between 8 to 10 hours. The second day, everything was okay. And then the third day, the exact same thing happened. Now, the memory started coming back 2 years ago. These particular memories started coming back, and I was shown where I was taken and what I was doing. And I was taken by the good ones. This time it was by the good ones that took me and took care of me and fixed some stuff. And now I know what happened when I was taken off the beach that one time.
Okay, so just to kind of recapitulate that, so you were taken to the Black Sea at 2 years old, and some strange things happened, and then you were taken again at 4 years old with your parents this time, and there was a missing time, or you were disappeared one day for 8-10 hours, and then same thing happened 2 days later. Again, you're missing. Now, were you taken by the positive ones
Yes.
on both times,
Both
or
times.
just the second time? Okay,
Both times.
All right,
Both times. Yes.
all right. And by the positive ones, we're talking positive what? Like we
Positive.
talking?
Positive ET that worked hand in hand with the positive branch of the Romanian military.
Okay, so there was a positive group of extraterrestrials working with the positive military faction of the
Yes.
Romanians,
Yes.
and they took you during that second visit when you were 4. But in that first visit when you were 2, it was the negative
It
extraterrestrial.
was the negative, yes. It was the negative ones, absolutely, that tried to get me to alter their timeline to bring about their reality. And the second time when I was 4 years old, both times, it was the positive one. It was the good side.
Okay. All right. So tell us about this rescue that happened and the involvement of Jean-Charles Moyen and Melanie Charest.
Yeah, it's really interesting because just gonna try to make it short. When I met them in a very when I was blessed and honored to speak at the GSIC, the second one in Orlando, that's the first time I met them. So when I heard Jean-Charles talking about him at, I believe, the age of 4 as well, being taken off the beach in France for 2 hours, I mean, again, my jaw dropped and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to talk to him. But, it's busy and the back room is busy. So I said, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So what happened was, long story short, when they were flying back to Canada, I was flying back to Nashville. And somehow our airplane from Orlando to Nashville, all of a sudden, the lady told me, you're going to go in the international wing. Don't be scared because you are flying to Nashville. It's just the plane is coming from the international wing. So it so happened that they were flying out to Canada from the next gate that we were flying back to Nashville. So we sat down, we started talking, and I felt a connection there. I felt like there was something that where we connected beyond just, physical, both with Melanie and Jean-Charles. And then they surprised me. They came for my birthday this past February. But before and after that, I had a memory that came up in a dream. And in the memory, I was what it seemed like on a spaceship, because the floor seemed to be like very, it was a metal floor. Everything was very sterile. And I was on the floor. I was between, I would say, 8 years old and maybe 9.5, or 7.5 and 9 years old. And Melanie was over me like a mother, holding me. And Jean-Charles was standing probably 5 feet behind, like watching guard. And my whole body was jerking. In other words, I was seeing what was being done to me through my eyes, but I was feeling it physically in my body at that moment in time. And they were using some very high frequency on me. It was so hot. It was such a high frequency that my whole body was lifting off the ground and jerking, convulsing. And it didn't really hurt, but it was so scary. And Melanie was over me saying, it's okay, in her beautiful French accent, it's okay, Corina, I'm here. You're safe, you're safe, you're safe. So that's when the memory started coming like that. And then it started connecting with the fact that I remembered that I was on a planet. I was on a planet, like I was telling you before, a very dark planet, a very industrial looking planet. And I knew that somebody saved me. And then Melanie had a memory of going and rescuing children from this planet, this dark looking planet. And there were children inside, behind in a room, I believe she said, like in cages. And she said, Corina, I saw you. Can that be possible? So I took the memories that I had, that age, and what happened to me, because I knew when I was at least 2 years old, I was taken off planet. So that means that they've kept me between the age of, I don't know, almost 2 to about 8 or 9 years old. So then it's like, it makes sense. Of course it makes sense. So that's how their involvement in my rescuing took place. Now, when I was at the Black Sea, when I was 4 years old, these ones helped me by correcting the damage that the evil or the negative military and the negative extraterrestrial had caused when I was 2 years old, when they tried to break open my ability to alter and bring their timelines in. So this is kind of, the physical help and the rescuing, how it kind of took place.
4 and 7 or 8, when you had that rescue by Melanie and Jean-Charles, you were being taken to this dark planet and used in whatever things they were doing, and it was obviously abusing children, and you were rescued by them. Mm-hmm. And so after you were rescued, were there any other kind of negative incidents after that?
Well, it's interesting because what started happening, so so when I was first grade, all throughout my memories, and this is memories that my parents and my siblings know, so it's not like they're memories from dreams. No, this is literal memories that I had. People kept coming after me. So for instance, when I was first grade, I was walking to school, and it was winter, and I was carrying my backpack, not a big deal. And all of a sudden, this man in black, literally dressed in black coat, black hat, came alongside of me, and he said to me, "Oh, little girl, where are you going? You're walking to school. Oh, let me help you with your backpack because it's too heavy and it's snow and it's slippery. I don't want you falling." And I felt something very negative from him because I've always had a strong discernment, even as a child. And I said, no, I'm fine. And he said, no, let me help you. So he took my backpack off my back. He took it in his hand and he said, "Here, I'll walk with you." And so we started walking. And as we were getting closer to the school, so what we were walking towards was the main street where, during communism, there weren't cars, Dr. Sala, like you saw cars right now in Romania. There was maybe 1 or 2 or 3, and you knew there were important people. So I saw the main street and I saw a car there, and my gut told me that he was taking me to that car. So as we were coming to my school, the school was across the little street, I told him, I said, "There's my school." So when I said that, he grabbed my hand very tight and pulled me close to him. Now, Dr. Sala, as if out of nowhere, this woman that I don't know who she is came in front of us and looked at that man, penetrating his eyes. I remember her stare. And that guy stopped immediately. And she looked at me and she said, "Corina," she knew my name, "what are you doing here? This is not, go to school right now. Your school is over there. Run right now and go to school." That guy, it's like fear gripped him. He let go of my backpack. He let go of my hand. And I ran across the street, the little street, and I went to school. So I don't know this woman. Clearly, she knew me. She knew where my school is. She knew my name. She knew where I lived. So things like that happened. Then when I was 7 years old, after our first attempt to escape communist Romania, losing my dad on the border, this first time, he didn't die. It's just, we lost him. We got separated. It was summer. And my brother was at the park, my older brother, playing. And there was a whole bunch of kids. And all of a sudden, this man approached him. Out of all the kids, he went straight to my brother and he introduced himself. And he said he's from the intelligence department. He showed his badge. And he said, "Oh, he was asking him information." And my brother started telling him, "Yeah, we live over there. And yeah, we attempted to escape Romania. And yeah, we lost my dad." Which, if it was a secret, like Securitate, and they were after people that tried to escape, which happened a lot, he would have already been interested in that. In other words, he would have jumped on that information. He didn't care about that. He said, okay. He goes, "So you have 2 younger siblings, right?" He said, "Tell me about your sister. You have a sister." And my brother said, "Yes, I do." So the guy, this from the secret intelligence department, told my brother, "What I want you to do is go to your home, write an essay, and meet me tomorrow at the park." He gave him a location. Well, my mom found the essay. She obviously got so worried and called the police. And obviously the guy wasn't there. So this happened. So throughout my life, things like this happened in the natural from people that I did not know. I didn't think I knew them, or I don't know how they knew me. So even our escape, Dr. Sala, out of Romania, was absolutely, yes, there was supernatural intervention. Yes, there was supernatural intervention from God, from angelic sources, from cosmic interference from the galactics. Yes. But Dr. Sala, there were also intervention on our behalf from a department, a military branch of the Romanian government or military that was above the Secret Service, the Securitate, because the way we were protected and the way our freedom to come to America happened is absolutely unbelievable. So somebody that was above the Securitate was protecting us and making sure that we get out of the country. And now I know why it was so important, because I think the first time I was on with you, you said, Corina, why do you think that you needed, to come out of Romania? Or why do you think that they protected you and your family to come out of Romania? And now I know, had I lived there, they would have tried to get to me.
It's very interesting. So it sounds as though around the same time that your family, well, your mother and your two brothers and you escaped from Romania and traveled to the United States to join your father who had escaped earlier, that was around the same time that you were also rescued from this off-planet location where you were being abused, where Jean-Charles and Melanie were involved in the rescue. So that was, and that suggested that the positive extraterrestrials were working with the kind of positive military in rescuing you off planet, but also that same kind of constellation of forces led to you being able to, your family, escape Romania to the United States.
Yes. I mean, Dr. Sala, things like they couldn't find my mom's file, so my mom could not serve her sentence. Everybody else served their sentence, but my mom could not serve her sentence because they were not able to find her file. And one morning, after 7-8 months of my mom waiting, while she was putting her paperwork to receive her passport, which was unheard of. You do not apply for passport to get out of Romania when you are convicted and you're waiting to serve your sentence. That just doesn't happen. But somebody in a higher position at the passport office in Bucharest told my mom, Miss Tans, put your paperwork for your passport, because I'm telling you, you and your children will leave the country. So my mom did that. So all of a sudden, here it is, June of 1983, I believe. And I wake up to this excitement. I was at my grandmother's house. I wake up to this excitement in the house. My cousins are coming, shaking me. Corina, wake up. I'm like, what's going on? And they say, Ceausescu has done a pardon. Now, Dr. Sala, I don't ever remember Ceausescu doing pardons. Never. I don't know, for people that, know more about that era, you can kind of comment, but I don't know. I don't ever remember him doing a pardon. Well, he gave a pardon, Ceausescu. And the exact same day, my mom received the telegram from the courthouse telling her to go to the courthouse. My mom went to the courthouse. She was invited in the office of this high-level official. He sat her down. He goes, Miss Tans, do you know why you haven't served 1 second of your sentence? And she goes, why, sir? And he takes her file, throws it on the desk, and he says, your file was stuck to a man that's been dead for 25 years, and it was put away somewhere where nobody found it until this morning after the pardon was given. And then he goes, by the way, go next door and pick up your passport. I mean, things like this just, and there's so much, Dr. Sala, there's so many interventions that are both, spiritual, supernatural, and both, you can say that they're also the hand of, and the authority and the power of a government hand that was much higher above the ones that were the dark ones. I mean, all kinds of things like that. So, oh my gosh, it's full of, interventions, intervention after intervention after intervention.
Okay, well, that kind of sets the scene now for our trip to
Yeah.
the Bucegi Mountains, and we traveled there together. At the end of October, you, Elena Dinan, myself, and some Romanian researchers. So you did something up there with Elena. Right next to that's the Romanian Sphinx. So you want to tell us what it was that you and Elena saw under the Sphinx,
Yeah.
and your kind of investigation of that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And just to go back really a little bit to set the stage for the question that you brought up, one of the memories of what had happened when I was 4 years old, one of the things that took place when I was at the Black Sea, taken by the good ones, I was taken to a facility, a room underneath a mountain. I don't know what mountain that was, but it was a circular room, and the walls were very smooth. And on the walls were these keys, like the keys of a keyboard, maybe between 4 to 6 inches length. And there were some beings there. And in the middle of this room was a chair. Now, the way I saw it looked almost like a dentist chair, but obviously the better description is for like the chair from Stargate Atlantis, but it was longer. It was a longer chair and smoother in a sense. Part of it was smoother. So I had no fear, Dr. Salam. After they did some healing to the part of the back of my head where the umbilical cord was attached. By the way, at 12 years old, I ended up in the hospital for nosebleeds, and they kept me in there for over a week. I just turned 13 in the hospital, and one of the doctors found a spot on the back of my head at the cerebellum part. And he said he has no idea what it is. He has no clue what it is. And of course, that's where my umbilical cord was connected back there. So, and that's where they try to damage it when I was 2 years old to unlock certain abilities. Anyway, so when I saw this chair, I had no fear. After they were working on me, doing some healing, I got in this chair and I was told, Corina, release your frequency. So I released a sound because I also sing. So I knew that they wanted me to sing a specific frequency as I got in the chair. So as I got in the chair and I started singing, making certain tones, all of a sudden, all those keys on the walls, on the circular wall, started lighting up and making sounds like do, 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 and all kinds of colors. And they started spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. So I was on the chair and they were working on me, and the chair connected to the back of my head and my spine. And there was a metal that came across here, and there was something back here to the back of my head, and that sent connections to my spine. And as that was happening, all of a sudden a portal opened up in front of me. Long story short, these beings were pulling up what I was told then were 24 strands of my DNA. Very gently, they were unraveling it. And each strand was a color. And they were so gently like doing this and letting the strand go. And now a portal that had opened up right in front of me in response to the frequency and the movement of the keys. So, and I saw those strands going in 24 different star systems. And that's when I was told where I came from, as far as basically it was the 24 seaters. Now, moving to Bucegi. So when Elena and I, with you, yes.
Clarify, I just want to be clear on the timeline. So you saw the chair. This is while you were still living in Romania?
Yes.
You were taken there? So
yes,
this is before you fled?
Yes. So this took place when I was taken at the Black Sea when I was 4 years old by the good ones.
I see. So you had access to that chair when you were 4 years old?
4 years old.
Okay.
4 years old.
But was it the good ones or the bad ones that were
ones.
trying to get you to change the timeline?
So the first one when I was 2 or under 2, it was the bad ones.
So did they take you to the chair as well at that age?
No, they did not take me to a chair.
I see.
I don't have memories of where they took me. But I know that they tried to get me to alter timelines to bring about their desired reality. Now, when I was 4, it was the good ones. And this is when I was taken underground under a mountain. And this is where the chair was presented to me. And I sat in the chair. First, they did some repair, some healing on me. And then I sat in the chair. Now, in this moment in time, when I was 4, it was not about me changing timelines. They were just healing me and unraveling my DNA and showing me who I am, basically. So,
and just to be clear, the good ones that took you to this chair under a mountain when you were 4 years old, we're talking extraterrestrials, right?
Correct.
We're talking something like a Galactic Federation. Absolutely. Or the Cheetahs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're not talking Romanian military.
No.
We're talking extraterrestrials.
No, I don't remember. They might have been part of it, but I don't remember it. I haven't seen that. That memory did not come up. But it was extraterrestrials, absolutely. And that's when I sat on this chair that connected to the back of my head and my spine. So that was when I was 4. Now, when we go to the Bucegi, what we did when we were there together, the moment I walked up on the mountain, I felt this frequency overtake me, and it was like embracing me, almost like a cloak, just squeezing me in, and I could feel it in every fiber of my being, the frequency to where I could barely stand up. Waves upon waves upon waves was penetrating every cell of my body, and I can hear a frequency. I can hear it. Now, you and Elena was further up, and I was barely walking behind because this frequency was so strong. But at the same time, I was also hearing a pulsating frequency, like boom, boom, or boom, 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 like a heartbeat. And it would beat different, like boom, 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 boom. And then it would be like boom, boom, boom. So 2 distinct different sounds. So as we started walking, it was more and more and more. And I heard, Dr. Sala, I heard 2 things being told to me. Welcome back. Welcome home. And I bawled. I broke and I bawled. Anyway, we met with Elena. So we did the probing. We engaged our consciousness, and we went underneath to see what we can find there. And as we penetrated it down, what we can see was a shield, like a dome, a frequency shield. And it's really interesting because the colors of it was almost like a dawn like a dusk color. It was darker, nothing scary at all. And when we penetrated down through it, both Elena and I, we ended up in this round room, or space. It wasn't a small one, wasn't extremely huge, but nevertheless, it was this round space. And oh my gosh. And everywhere where we looked, you can see openings in the walls. And we knew that those were rooms. So this round room had openings to different rooms. Now, in the middle of this round room space, there was a dome. And it wasn't a big dome. It was a dome. And inside of it, I love how we confirmed each other, because I was like, oh my gosh, Elena, do you see it? It's a blue light emanating. So inside this dome, in the middle of this room, there was a plasma inside of it that was emanating a bluish light. And when Elena and I approached it, Dr. Sala, it's as if this plasmic consciousness awakened, and it started releasing and pulsating this bluish light, and you can hear the sound of the heartbeat, boom, 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 very loud. So what I felt immediately is that it was so, in a way, excited that we were there. It approved and it was excited that we were there. It responded to our DNA. It responded to us approaching it. Now, another wonderful, interesting thing is that as I looked down at the floor, what I saw was like a glass-like substance, but it wasn't glass. And underneath it, there were coming from this dome with this consciousness plasma. What I saw was lights going.
The dome up, the enigmatic structure. Just put the structure up, because that illustrates what Corina's talking about.
So as you want me to continue?
Yes, please. The structure, it's in the notes. It's called the structure. Yeah, that should have been up from the beginning.
Okay, so as I looked down underneath this glass-like substance, I saw light going straight, shooting straight, and it was going to each of the individual rooms. And as the light was going to the rooms, it lit up the rooms. So this cosmic, this conscious plasma, this organic consciousness in this plasma was alive. It came on and everything started coming on. So Elena and I went to one specific room, and lo and behold, the room that we went to was a room that had a very high table. And on top of the table, there was like a holographic map. And oh my gosh, I remember both her and I going, oh my gosh, look when you zoom in, look what it does. So this holographic map, when you looked in, for instance, what I was seeing, and it's incredible because she looked at the same thing. I saw parts of our galaxy, and I was looking at a particular part of it, a particular planet, and the stars that were around it. So when I looked at it, it actually zoomed in, and you can see the life the life that was on those planets. The more you zoom, in other words, you were able to zoom in and out on whatever part of the galaxy that you desire to engage with and look and learn about, and it was showing it to you. So that was so incredible. So we came out of that room and we started going towards another room, and this is the connection between what happened this room and then the room that I was taken in by the good ones, the extraterrestrials, when I was 4 years old at the Black Sea. So when I entered this room, even Elena, it's so wonderful because what I saw, Elena was like, oh my gosh, Corina, look. And I was like, yes, I see. It was a round room, like a dome, okay? And oh my gosh, the walls had the same keys. All the walls around had these keys that I saw when I was 4 years old. And in the middle of the room was a chair. I don't know if this was the exact place or identical, but the room where I was in at 4 years old was absolutely an identical room as this one. It might be the same, it might be just an identical one, but nevertheless. So there was the chair in the middle, and the keys started coming alive as I entered the room, as my DNA triggered it, and they were coming alive. And Elena said, oh my gosh, Corina, let's sit in the chair, let's see. So I sat in the chair, and as the lights came on in the room, just like when I was 4, all of a sudden it started spinning and a portal opened up again right in front of me. So when I watched, I looked through the portal, it was like the void. It was a thick density beyond in this portal. And all of a sudden I saw all these, which I know now what they are, timelines. They were like strings of color, laser beams, like strings, but they were not necessarily straight. They were like almost like a lightning bolt, and they were different colors. And Elena was like, oh my gosh, can you move them? And I was like, I think so. So what I had to do was set my intention and my focus on moving the timelines. And it's as if, you touch a touchscreen computer and you go woo, 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 woo. But I was doing that with my mind. And then all of a sudden, I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? What is my assignment here? Because obviously it was responding to my DNA. Everything was responding to my DNA, especially in that room. And I knew it had to do with timelines. So all of a sudden, these timelines that I was moving around with my focus, they disappeared. It's like they went back into the distance. They went back into the void. And a new line came forward, and this line was a timeline that was green. It was a green color line, timeline. Like, again, it was like a lightning bolt. That's how it looked. But it was long. It was long as the eye can see. So all of a sudden, this is what I was told. Corina, this is the original timeline that must be established in this moment, in this time, and in this season. It must be established. So I said, okay. And Elena said, what are you supposed to do? I said, I'm supposed to establish it. She goes, okay. So I was like, okay, how do I do it? Oh, focus on it. So what I did is I focused on that. And as I focused on it and my intention and my thoughts, and I said, the original timeline, you must be established. You must be established. As I was saying that, and even in the video, Dr. Sala, that you filmed, you can see that I had my hand and I said, you must be established. Be established. And I think I even stumped with my foot. Be established. And I literally saw that timeline shooting forward like a lightning bolt. Just, it went whoosh. So obviously, you guys, green stands for go. Green stands for new life, new beginning. It stands for a new season. It stands for health. It stands for everything that's connected to new, to prosperity, to health, to go, go, go. You're free. Go, go, go. So that's what green stands for. Now, after that happened, Elena and I came back with our consciousness. But the wonderful thing is, Dr. Sala, is that everything in there responded to our DNA. Everything responded to our DNA. And, now I know very well, I know now why it responded to my DNA, because my DNA is part of that. And with Elena, the reason it responded to hers is because Elena was living among the people way at the beginning that helped bring about this laboratory, because it's a genetic laboratory. Because Elena saw technology when we were looking at those tables. Elena immediately recognized that technology. She goes, oh my gosh, Corina, I recognize it. It's the Anahim technology, because see, Elena has used it because she was a geneticist. So she recognized it immediately. So that's why it's so important for the DNA to connect. That's why not just anybody can go in there, because the frequency of that dome, the frequency that protects it, it's connected to this living plasma, this living conscience plasma. That's how it protects itself and all the technology that it's holding. So if you're not of the same frequency, it's like if the frequency of the shield is up here and your frequency is down here, it's what's going to do in short term, it's going to short circuit you. So that's why people that have tried, that had the wrong motives or the wrong DNA that's connected to the wrong motives and the wrong ones, they died because it's short circuited their whole entire body. So, and Dr. Sala, when you did the interview after, you said, something like, it's interesting about that timeline because the elections in America is going to be in about a week. And I did not even remember the elections being so close because I was so focused on the mission that I was supposed to do in Romania, still not knowing what I'm supposed to do when I go. So I was so focused on it that I lost track of the election that was going to be in a week. So it's amazing things, Dr. Sala. We have stepped into a season of amazing, amazing things with the amazing technologies being revealed coming up to help humanity so that we can really become who we're supposed to become and really do what we're supposed to do and awaken this entire species.
So there's a number of things that I wanted to kind of talk about. So I want to start at the very first. one, which is the dome that you saw. So if we just bring up that image, Jazz, of the structure, this image is from the Radu cinema, like a pulse, and that's what you were both perceiving. So you want to kind of tell us, in terms of what Radu cinema depicted in this image here, is that kind of close to what you saw?
To me, it seems like it's very, very close. Now, the only thing that I did not read in there, from what I remember, because I think I read all the way up to book 6. I just binge read them. The only thing that I don't think he mentioned or they mentioned in there is the plasmic consciousness. I don't remember that, but it's absolutely extremely similar. I mean, the frequency dome was identical, but the only thing is we saw that it's connected. It's the protection mechanism for this live being entity that has locked in or intertwined itself with plasma. And from what I understand, from what Elena was talking and mentioning, is that this type of being, organic being, is also found in space arcs and spaceships, that is connected to the technology. Everything's alive. So the only difference that I can say is that when we went through this frequency shield, we went down, we saw this being, this plasmic consciousness that is alive, that interacted with us. And from what I felt and saw, this frequency shield, was placed there by this being to protect the technology that is in there from people that should not go in there. But it's extremely identical. It's very close.
Okay, good. And so the second image we showed from the Radu cinema, which is the interior layout of the projection room, in there you see around the sides, like at the bottom, you see all these kind of tables.
My God. Yeah.
And these are like tables for holographic projections. And you were talking about seeing that with Elena. So you want to tell us?
Yeah, so we approached. I didn't see more because I wasn't focused on seeing more. I was focused at the exact same second at what I was seeing at that moment in time. So we saw this taller table, and it was absolutely incredible because it was a holographic map of the galaxy. Now, I'm wondering, Dr. Sala, and I don't remember from the books, but I'm wondering if the other tables show another part of the galaxy and another part. And, and I know it shows, they call it the Hall of Records, I believe, and it shows different species and everything. But what we observed was a particular side of of this galaxy, and particular planets that were connected to different stars. And so that's what we were able to see. And this is when Elena was like, oh my gosh, I recognize this technology because I've used it. And that's when it dawned on her that this is actually a genetic lab. So it was absolutely remarkable. And yeah,
that was kind of like a really important point that Elena made, that this was not necessarily a hall of records that was created by a civilization wanting to preserve its history, that it was also connected in some way with this Anunnaki laboratory, or that the Anunnaki, or the Anak, as Elena refers to them, had developed a number of these laboratories around the planet where they could do this kind of research on genetic research to, I guess, create the optimal human.
Yeah. It's very interesting because what Elena got, the information that she got after that, is that it was a choice by the ones that were the leaders of this particular facility, of this particular lab. It was a choice by the two leaders, the male and the female, to close it down, because Enlil and his fraction were attempting to come, and it would fall in the wrong hands. So so it's very, very, very interesting. But it's really beyond, I don't know, the word interesting is not even a good enough word. It's so powerful that how this being responded to both Elena and I, that is at the core of this facility.
Right. So you have permission or protection actually from this plasma consciousness to psychically probe and explore in there. Now you saw this chair, and it's very similar to the Montauk chair. You said there were some differences, and that you were taken to that when you were 4 years old. But here you are, psychically projecting yourself into this laboratory, into this hall of records, and you sat in this chair again, and as you were saying, that you were being given the command to restore the timeline, and you're absolutely correct that this happened a week before the presidential election in the United States, and I don't think that was an accident at all, because as far as I could tell, we, especially the United States and the planet, we were shifted in 2020 during the election there, where there was a massive, just so that we don't get into trouble with the use of census, let's just say that there was a massive correction, shall we say, of the results or change.
Yes.
And you had Biden kind of like somehow being elected with numbers that didn't add up. But that to me represented a timeline shift, that President Trump was supposed to have won in a landslide, but there was a timeline. The timeline was shifted. It was stolen, really. And so for the last 4 years, we were living in this stolen timeline where the deep state, the dark ones, were doing everything they could to take us down this dark path of black swan events, false flag events, to bring about a civil war in the United States, to bring about, all of these dark things. But at every point, people said no, and the consciousness said no. And now this election, this 2024 election, this is where there was some intervention, and you were an instrument in that intervention to restore the timeline.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I did not realize, Dr. Sala, that the election, I just didn't, which is crazy. I just didn't, that the election was so close, because I think I would have been very nervous, honestly, to say, oh yeah, the timeline shifted. You know what I mean? But because I didn't, that was not my focus. My focus was whatever assignment I have to do while I'm in Romania. And at that very second, it was to shift the timeline. That's what I focused on. I didn't even realize it was about the election. But I do want to say, a week after I got home, like right 2 days after President Trump won, I was driving, and what I heard this, and I was told, Corina, though they wanted to alter the timeline, they thought that they won. They thought that they've achieved what they wanted to achieve when they altered the timeline. What I was told is there was a strategy that was encapsulated in like a time capsule within them, the evil ones, thinking that, oh, we stole it, we altered the timeline. And what I was told is that this is the moment in time right now when Trump was supposed to be president. Had he been president 4 years ago, by law, he could not be president again right now. So in other words, though the evil ones were allowed to alter the timeline, because inside that timeline, there was a strategy encased, again, in a time capsule. And that strategy was that Trump was supposed to return to be president right now. This is the original timeline that needed. It's a go. It's prosperity. It's new life. It's new beginning. It's everything that's connected to go. So this is the timeline. This is the moment in time when that original timeline, not 4 years ago, now is the moment when it was supposed to be established. So that's what I was told very, very clearly. And we see why, Dr. Salah, because so much disclosure is coming. I mean, the right people now are around him, the right counseling, the right moves. Everything is put in place for the fullness of his reasoning for being in office to manifest.
Important points. So if he had been allowed to take office in 2020, then the result would have been different to where we are now. People wouldn't have had the kind of awareness that they have now about the deep state, about the deep states.
And Dr. Salah, Kamala would have won.
Right. Okay.
Kamala would have won. So we would have been worse off. Our timeline would have gone to hell, literally, had she been in office, because she would have won. Because really, talking politics, who is on the scene in the Republican that would have been able to take her popularity down, even with mishmash happening? You know what I'm saying? I mean, who?
Right. Yeah. Mike Pence, who was the vice president in the first term, he wouldn't have been able to.
No, absolutely not.
He wouldn't have had that.
So that's why I understood more when I got home a day or two after. Actually, it was the day after. It was a Wednesday after he was elected. When I was told I was driving, and said, Corina, listen, that timeline, the green one, had to be established now. And Dr. Sala, it was established from Bucegi, with both you and Elena right there from Bucegi. So, and the other ones, the other amazing witnesses that were around us, Laura, Lisa, and the Romanians, all of them. But it happened from Bucegi. Now, why?
It's very interesting. Now, I know in our earlier interview, and you kind of briefly mentioned it, that you have within you the 24 DNA strands that corroborate or that correspond in some way to each of the 24 cedar races. And so somehow you being there, as you said, at Bucegi to kind of like help restore this timeline, and of course the presence of Elena because of her role with that particular Hall of Records or Anunnaki laboratory. It was all came together to bring about the optimal result. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I'm still learning more about those 24 strands. And, you have to kind of understand, because I did the third edition of The Quest for Freedom, my book, last year, and I added the memories, I felt, Dr. Sala, I was told very clearly, you have to put the memories in there. And you know how I felt? I was like, are you kidding me? This is private. This is stuff about me. I'm still trying to understand. You want me to put it out there? I was shaking. My knees were shaking when it was about me putting it out there. But I'm understanding a little bit more and more why I was supposed to put it out there in the book ahead, a year and a half ahead, a year and a half before what took place. So yeah, so I'm still learning a lot more about my DNA strands of 24, how that's connected. So I'm definitely a student. I love learning. I love, I'm learning. I'm still learning. Okay, so in this third edition of The Quest for Freedom, I mean, you have in there more of your recovered memories where you recall being taken into this Hall of Records or this facility when you were 4 years old, and the chair and all of that, and also being rescued when you were 7. You talked about. So all of that's in there before more recent events. That's great. Yes. And more have come since then. And, it's just it's a process for all of us that are waking up and remembering. It's a process. It's continuing a process. We go from one level of remembering to another. The Bible says from glory to glory to glory. So, yeah. Okay, but I'm loving the journey. Is it easy? Not always. All right. Is it worth it? Definitely. Okay, so people who have already got your copy or got an earlier edition of The Quest for Freedom, now they have a reason why they could buy the third edition, because there's more memories, more information in there So definitely get that for your library, The Quest for Freedom. Now, you also have another book that came out, Into Hidden Dimensions and Beyond. So you want to tell us about that one?
Yes, I love that book. That's probably one of my favorite books. That book it's all based on encounters that I had where I was taken and I was taught about quantum, so I call it quantum glory, because remember, I have to package it in a Christian umbrella, because this is for the Christians, more so it's not only, but my focus at that point in time was to awaken the Christians, for them to realize who they truly are and the power that's really within them, and who the Father is and who he's not. So, I call it quantum glory. And Dr. Sala, I put things in there about dark energy, all of that. I put about the black holes, and I put really what they're doing. And I did not, it's not like I went to school for this stuff. Okay. It's by what I was shown. I was taken and I was shown these things. And then I wrote them down. And then I would go confirm it. Like, let me just see if I lost my mind. And then my jaw would drop, because I would see things that physicists would talk about, or cosmologists, so anyway, but it was related more to our spirituality. And Dr. Sala, when I read part of book 5 of Transylvania book series, book 5, oh my gosh, because what he was talking about, that's connected to inner earth, and about the core, and about the black hole, and what the black hole actually does, that it brings forth life. It doesn't absorb light, but it creates. My jaw was on the floor, because that's exactly what I was shown. And I have a lot of that information in this Hidden Dimensions and Beyond. So what is this book about? It's about the dimensions that are within us, that reflect the dimensions that are out there. Because as within, so without. Because we're a mirror reflection of divinity, of creator, and all of that out there is actually in us. So when we tap within, we can go without. With the fullness of the power that's within, go without. Don't go out and try to bring what's out in, but go in and tap into the power that you have in, and let it out, so that it can change the outside according to the power that's inside of you. So it's a very deep book. And that's when I'm starting to bring a lot about the tales of the two fathers, the Old Testament God, and what did Jesus say. So this is when I start knocking that nasty thing in the head, this religious nasty lie, and showing the truth about the Father. So it's because how can we go into hidden dimensions, which is all about divine creator? It's all about love. It's all about infinity and the boundless ones, when we are connected to the wrong one, when we're connected to an evil reptilian wannabe piece of crap that has bound humanity in horrors from the very beginning. I will never attain that. I will never be able to go into the fullness of those hidden dimensions and beyond, as long as I have a covenant, I'm connected to the wrong one. So that's why I started by introducing the right one and showing who the wrong one is, who the right one is. And then I went deeper in each chapter. So it's a lot of quantum stuff connected to the human spirit, the soul.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to ask this because I know there's a lot of Christians that are very interested in UFOs and extraterrestrial life. And I think a lot of Christians believe that Christ is coming back, or Jesus is coming back, and that he's coming back with the extraterrestrials, whereas others believe that what's coming back is Christ consciousness. So, yeah, you want to kind of maybe finish up just telling us what is returning?
Yeah, I have, for a few years now, I have learned that most of the time it's not this or that. That most of the time it can be this and this. So, in other words, we're so in a place where, well, if this happens, then this cannot happen. Now, unless they are two complete opposites, like you can't say, oh, I love you, but then I'm going to take a knife and stab you and kill you. Like there's not love and hate. Now that is just love or hate. But in things like this, so just to specifically answer your question, I would not put it past the fact that Jesus could come back with his cosmic family. I mean, all of this, we're all family. He's our brother. He's the galactics. They are part of our family. We're all united. We're all connected. So is there a possibility that Jesus can come back with them? Absolutely. Is there also a possibility that this means Christ consciousness? Absolutely. This is my thought, though, Dr. Sala. Before anything can happen, we've got to awaken to our Christ consciousness. We can't be with our head stuck in the sand, being connected to evil deities, operating out of that energy, and expect for anything good to happen. In other words, wake up first. You know how we're on the airplane, they tell you if something happens, take the oxygen mask, put it on you first, and then on the next on your child or whoever else, the minor next to you. The same thing here. Before you listen, beautiful Christian audience, before you can expect for Jesus to come on the clouds with angels or with our cosmic family, we first have to wake up. We first have to break out of the bondage of lies and illusion and control and realize who we are. Tap into that Christ consciousness, that higher consciousness of the fullness of who you are and who I am. That's the first thing we must do. So take your eyes off of looking at the sky. Take your eyes and put them inside of you. Look within. Remember who you are. Find the treasures within. And then you can look up after you've looked in and you realize who you are. So it starts with you and me getting in that Christ consciousness, awakening, knowing who we are, and then we can look up. Till then, we really should have no business looking up. We got to look in, because this is where everything is here. Stop looking for a savior out there. The power is within you right here.
Wonderful advice. Okay, so Corina, where do people go if they want to buy your books or learn more about you or do a seminar or webinar with you?
Thank you. So you guys can find me at www.thequestfortruth with Corina Pataki. One word, long, but it's one word. That's our website. You can find everything there. You can find links to Amazon for our books. You can find links to the teaching. We also have an academy. You can find links to our Patreon. So that's a one-stop place on our website. You can find me on Facebook at Corina Pataki, my Facebook, and also the Quest for Truth group page. And so you can find me everywhere on Spotify. I don't care, and put me on every platform that there is out there. So Google the name. I'm everywhere. But the website is probably the best direction to go from there.
Wonderful, Corina. Well, thank you. A fantastic interview and amazing material. And I hope people take to heart your advice about looking within. That is very, very important. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sala. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and having me on again. And it was great spending some time with you in Romania. Hope to see you soon again.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Sala. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Sala. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.